Okay, we're going over just a reminder of some things that we talked about last year in algebra. So most of this should at least look familiar to us, even if we don't remember all of it. Hopefully that will kind of help jog our memory. Okay, today we're talking specifically about slope and slope-intercept form. So when we talk about slope, right, the easiest way to find slope is using rise over run. Now, who can tell me what that means when we say rise over run? David?
Rise over run is like how many times you go up on the y-axis.
Good.
And how many times you go to the left or right on the x-axis.
So, for rise, we move up or down. For run, we move left or right. Agree?
Yes, I agree.
Because when we talk about slope, like it says right next to that, it's the change in y, which the y-axis is up and down, over the change in x, which is left and right. So really, the easiest way for you to find slope is when you have a graph, because all you have to do is count. Every time we start at the point on the left, and we go to the point on the right, okay? So, if I start with the left point here, how many times would I have to count up till I'm even with the right point?
1,
So up one time, that's going to be my top number, over how many?
2,
2. So what would be my slope of this line?
1/2.
So my slope here, which is represented by what variable? M. M always represents slope, is just going to be 1/2. Okay?
Easy.
All right. Cannon on number 2. Tell me what direction I would be counting first.
Up,
If I start at the point on the left,
then you're gonna go down.
okay, every time start at the point on the left. How many would you count down?
2.
And if I move down 2, what type of number shows down 2?
Negative
Okay, so -2, and then over to the right,
2.
2. So -2 over 2, what would that simplify to? -1. So here, my slope is going to be -1. Okay? Now, number 3 can be a little confusing if you haven't ever seen it before, right? Because is there anywhere to count up and over? No, right? What is your y value every time here?
1, -1.
-1, right? So is -1 ever changing?
No.
So if the y values never change, like let's just say it changes 0 times. Let's say the x value changes twice. It doesn't really matter. But what's 0 divided by 2?
0.
So here, horizontal lines have a slope of 0. So really on these, you guys, you're going to get used to seeing, if I see a horizontal line, I'm going to know it's a slope of 0 because the y values never change and 0 divided by anything has to be 0. Now, real quick, let's talk about vertical line. So here, your x values never change, right? So let's say it's 2 divided by 0. Well, can you divide something by 0?
No.
No, right? It's not possible. Like,
No solution.
it is impossible to divide by 0. So does anyone remember what we call this slope?
Like undefined.
Undefined.
Yes. Good job.
So again, these are 2 slopes that we have to be in the habit of just knowing. A horizontal line is a slope of 0. A vertical slope is undefined. Yes?
Yep.
You really don't have to do any work on those. We just have to know what they are. Okay? All right. Pearl, example 4. Now, example 4 doesn't tell you where the ordered pairs are. We have to find them, okay? So, I'm going to draw this line in blue. So, on that blue line, can you tell me where 2 ordered pairs are that are located on that line?
Where it crosses the x and the y.
But like we need 2 exact ordered pairs that are on that blue line. -2 what?
Like,
0.
-2, 0 would be located here.
I thought you like the other one.
0, -2.
Okay, 0, -2 I could live with. That is a point on the line.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, now give me one other ordered pair on the line.
0, -1. 4. Oh wait, shoot! I
0,
said that wrong.
+4.
I said that
Right, no,
wrong.
+4, 0.
Okay, +4, 0 I agree with, right?
Maybe
Could you
positive
do
2.
like-
Now, here's the deal. Positive 2 what?
Negative 1.
-1? Yes. Any of the points that go through an ordered pair, you can use. It doesn't matter. Okay? So, Pearl, start at the point on the left. What direction would you count? Up how many?
1.
So, up 1 is going to be my top number over 2. So, what's my slope, Pearl? 1/2. Good. Okay? All right, Peyton. Number 5, give me 2 ordered pairs located on that line.
Positive 1. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah.
-1 and positive 1.
-1, +1 would be here.
Or positive 1, -1.
Okay, that one I agree with.
And then
You were close on the other one. -1, what?
positive 2.
+2. Okay? Now, again, are those the only 2 ordered pairs you should use or have to use? No, there's others, but these would be the 2 easiest. And then how do you find your slope, P?
Go up 3 over 2.
Mm,
Oh, yeah, left to right. Over 2, down 3. Or down 3 over 2.
down 3, which is what number?
3. -3.
-3, and then over 2, +2. So what's your slope here?
-3 over 2.
-3 over 2. Now, the other thing is, okay, we should be able to tell the sign of our slope just by looking, right? So when I look at example 1 and example 4, what can we tell the slope should be? What type of number? Positive, because the line's going up. What about 2 and 5? Negative, because that line is going down, okay? Those should be 2 big factors of like, okay, my line's going down, I know my slope has to be negative, okay? Even if you don't worry about that till your answer, that's okay, but I prefer you to write down is -3, right is +2, okay? Simple enough, yes? Questions on any of that? Okay, part 2, finding slope given 2 points. Now, surely we remember this, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, yes? Okay, so Trent, on example 1, how would I set up to find my slope?
-11 minus -2. Or -10 or 10 minus -2.
10 minus -2, good. So y minus y, and then what about on the bottom?
-11 minus 19.
Good. Okay, Trent, what happens to those double negatives?
They add
Okay, 10 plus 2, and then -11 minus 19. -30. Now, Trent, is this how you want to leave your answer? Why not, Trent?
because you
Okay, what are both those numbers divisible by?
6, 3.
I hear a lot of correct answers. None of you are technically wrong. 2, 3, and 6 all work. Which one should we use? 6, right? Biggest number. What's 12 divided by 6? 2. 30 divided by 6? 5. Carry that negative across. So our slope, which is m, is equal to -2/5.
As long as there's a negative in the answer, it doesn't really matter.
No, it does. It doesn't matter if you have a negative on the top or the bottom. I usually try to put it in the middle. Now, here's what does matter. What if you subtract the top and get a negative and subtract the bottom and get a negative? Then it's a positive. 2 negatives are always going to make a positive, so just be careful of that. Okay? All right, Aiden, what about example 2? Which one's on top? Okay, so tell me what to subtract for y2 minus y1. Those are both x values. Remember, we want to do y2, the second, minus the first. So what's the second y value? 2 minus what? Minus -4. Good. And then what about x? 4 minus 8. Okay. Aiden, what's 2 minus -4? What happens to those double negatives, Aiden? Okay. 2 plus 4? 6. What about 4 minus 8? Close?
Negative.
-4. Okay, we have to be careful about our signs here because those are little things that can trip us up. Okay, Aiden, would you leave your answer as 6 over -4? Or would you simplify? Okay, what can you divide both those numbers by? What's half of 6? Half of 4. So we get a slope of -3 over 2. Why would I not put -1.5? Because if I'm going to graph and I'm using rise over run, does it make sense to go 1.5? No, because the top number tells you rise, the bottom number tells you run. That's why we don't write slope as an improper fraction. Okay? All right. Brady, number 3. Just set it up for me, please.
-3 minus 6, minus -12,
Okay, over.
15 minus 6.
Okay, what happens to that double negative?
Turns positive.
So -3 plus 12 is equal to what?
9.
9. What about 15 minus 6?
9.
Also 9. Brady, what's 9 divided by 9?
1.
1. Okay. Izzy, number 4.
-18 minus -18
Good.
over -15 and 12. Or
Yeah, that's fine.
15.
Okay, Izzy, what's -18 plus 18?
0.
0. And then -15 minus 12.
-27.
And 0 divided by anything is 0, right? Okay, it's like if I bring 0 pieces of candy, how many are each of you going to get? 0. Okay? Yeah? I know it's not a great example, but it's true. 0 divided by anything is still 0. Okay? All right, last one, Memphis. Over. Okay. -8 minus 13 is -21. Yep. 17 minus 17. Now, who can tell me what happens when we get 0 on the bottom? Undefined, right? Because, can I divide you guys into 0 groups?
No.
No, right? It's not possible. You cannot divide by 0, so 0 on the top is 0, 0 on the bottom is undefined. Yes? Okay? Simple enough, eh? All right, last part, writing an equation in slope-intercept form, okay? Now, when we talk about this, it gives you that equation over here on the right side. What is slope-intercept form?
Y equals mx plus
Y equals mx plus b. What does m represent?
the slope.
M is always slope. What does b always represent?
The crosses that, right?
What's that called?
The line. I don't know. I forgot. Wait. Any.
You're close. The y what? Intercept. Good. Sorry, I'm running out of room. So the two things that you have to have in order to write an equation in slope-intercept form is your slope, which we talked about how to find with a graph, rise over run, and then the y-intercept. How can you easily find the y-intercept on a graph?
Just look at the line.
Yeah, look where it crosses the axis, okay? So we're going to do both things. First thing we're going to do is find slope. Weston, on number 1, tell me how to find the slope.
Rise over run.
Okay,
0 down.
down how many?
2.
What number is that?
-2.
-2 and over.
And over 4.
So if I went right, is it positive or negative?
Positive.
So I got -2 over 4. What does that simplify to?
1/2.
-1/2. Okay. And then Weston, what's the y-intercept here?
Is it like a point?
Yep.
So it would be
But we can just use a single number. It crosses the y-axis at what number, Weston? 1. Okay. Right? Right here is my y-intercept. Okay. Then, Weston, all you have to do are plug those things for m and b. So what's your equation in slope-intercept form? Y equals what?
Y equals, negative 1 half plus, or times x,
Times x
and
plus 1. Okay? So we plug in for the slope and we plug in for the y-intercept. That's all you have to do. Okay? All right? Keeg, number 2. Tell me how to find that slope. Okay? All right. What does 6 over 4 simplify to? 3 over 2. Good. And then what's your y-intercept, Keegan? Yeah, crosses the y-axis at 0. Then I just plug those two in for m and for b. So what would your equation be? Now, do I need to write plus 0, you guys? No, right? It's not necessarily wrong if you do, it's just unnecessary. It's like putting 1x. We don't need it there because we know it's there. Okay? All right? Cannon, number 3.
Down 2.
Okay?
And over 6.
So what would that slope be?
2 over 6.
Close.
2 over negative 6.
So we went down 2, so we put negative 2 on that one,
2 over 6.
right? What does negative 2 over 6 simplify to?
I don't know.
What are they both divisible by, Canaan?
1. 2 divided by 2.
Okay, so what do you get when you divide them by 2?
3 and 1.
Okay,
1 over 3.
yeah, so negative 1/3. Okay, and then where does it cross the y-axis, Canaan?
At the negative 2.
Yep, negative 2. And then you're just going to write those into your equation. So y equals what?
Y equals negative 1 over 3. X
Yep,
plus negative 2.
true, but we could just say minus 2. We really don't want to say plus a negative because it's kind of redundant, so we just say minus 2. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Who wants the last one like this? Go for it, David.
So you have to go up 3 times
Okay,
and then over 4
good. So my slope,
to be 3 over 4.
okay. What about your y-intercept?
1.
Good, right? This point here. Okay, so then your equation here would be y equals what?
Y equals 3 over 4x plus 1.
Very good. Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about the last two real quick. We already know horizontal slope has to be what number?
0.
0. What's that y-intercept?
4.
4. Now, if my slope is 0, right, we would say y equals 0x plus 4. Well, what happens to that 0 times x?
It's just nothing.
It's just 0, right?
Yeah.
Because 0 times anything is 0. Well, what's 0 plus 4?
Y equals x. Oh, wait.
So y would be equal to just 4. Okay? Same thing on number 6. We know slope of a vertical line is what?
Undefined.
Undefined. What's our y-intercept here?
Not one.
There is none.
So it's undefined.
So what would be our equation for this one?
Undefined.
Undefined.
Hint, look at the one next to it.
0.
It's going to be similar to the one next to it, but instead of y equals 4, what would we write for this one?
Y equals undefined.
No. Somebody over here is on the right track.
Negative 5.
X equals what?
Negative 5.
I think you went too far.
Negative 4.
Negative 4. How'd you get that, Memphis?
Look at 4.
Yeah. Where does it cross the x-axis at? Negative 4, right? And it crosses the x-axis only. Here's the other way I usually teach this. If it only crosses the x-axis, right, you just set x equal to that number. If it only crosses the y-axis here, horizontal line, we set y equal to that number. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay? Yes? Okay, here's the deal. Today, your assignment is on Delta Math. I think there's 9 questions, so 3 of each type. Finding slope with ordered pairs, and then this last part. You do need paper today because I am going to take a grade on this. Okay? So make sure you're writing this down as you go through on Delta Math.